bad stuff happens in our lives. And then we get angry. But it's up to us if we choose and whether we choose to let go of that anger. This is the essence of what I've learned about anger. But only after I learned from my dad about what happens when you don't let go of anger. My dad was completely consumed by his anger, and at least 2 times I witnessed growing up. When I was 12, my mom betrayed my dad. My dad was so angry that he kicked her out of the house. He spoke with my brother and I about how she was a terrible mother, she was mentally ill. And after sobbing for weeks in grief, he wrote letters to all their mutual relatives, all their mutual friends, telling them how wronged he had been by my mother. When I thought I might live with my mom growing up, he said, "If you choose to live with her, you can never live with me again." To me, that sounded like, "And I will never speak to you again." I thought he was capable of that. Despite her efforts to try to be friends over the years and make amends, he remained staunch in his anger toward her. Even 6 years after the divorce, when she called me, he said, "It's your mother." His attitude was, he was right, she was wrong, that was that, and when I get older, I would understand. Then, when I was a senior in high school, my dad had another great disappointment and betrayal. Some of his employees in his genetics lab turned on him, sabotaged his work. One guy wanted his job. Again, I saw my dad worry, pace, smoke his pipe, and act in self-righteous indignation. He could not see his role in this. He had been completely wronged. He was a martyr. Within a year, he left that lab, joined a new lab, developed an ulcer, pancreatic cancer, and died. Yesterday would have been his 69th birthday. Given the large amount of time my dad spent suffering and feeling wronged and betrayed, I believe he died of anger. And many of my relatives share this belief. Although intellectually I can understand that genetics, the fact that he smoked a pipe, and just mere chance play a role in cancer, I still have chosen to believe that he died of anger. So how did I handle my dad's death? Now a bad thing happened to me. I lost the dad I left when I was 20. However, instead of being angry at my mom for what she did, or his colleagues and employees for turning on him, I've been angry at my dad, ironically, for dying of anger. I still might have a dad, I reasoned, if only he had taken a year off to challenge his beliefs and meditated in Tibet. Surely that would have done it. If only he had found a way to forgive and let go of his anger. Sometimes we, as children, pick up where our parents left off, learning the lessons they never learned in their lifetimes. Being my dad's daughter, I struggled with anger myself, particularly in my 20s, when in addition to being angry at my dad for dying, I was mad at myself for not making enough of a significant contribution to society yet. Because my dad said, "You will make a significant contribution to society." Finally, at the age of 30, when I was about to be laid off from not my first or second, but third job in 2 years, and I was struggling with depression, I reached out to someone for help. That someone was a member of UUFR named Bill Finger, who had spoken in public about his depression. I knew the way I thought about things influenced how I felt about things, so I wanted something cognitive behavioral. He recommended a group called Recovery International, a self-help mental health support group, and I've been involved for the last 10 years. I will share with you just a few things that I've learned about anger that would have helped my dad and have helped me get over my anger at my dad. Anger is caused by a judgment that someone else or we are wrong. If we can drop that judgment of wrongdoing, we can drop our anger. The more we cling to judgments of right and wrong, the more stressed we will be. My dad clearly clung to the judgment that others were wrong, and he stayed in anger for years. Most things are trivialities compared to our mental health, and there is no such thing as right and wrong in the trivialities of everyday life. Anger is intellectual blindness to the other side of the story. This was in Tom's story for the children earlier. And if we stay in anger, we cannot see that other people are acting out of their own motivations and they're not trying to hurt us. Irritations, frustrations, and disappointments are part of everyday life. Every single day they will happen, and these are all forms of anger that happen as a result of these things. People don't follow through on their promises, they don't call back, they're late, they just don't do what we want them to do or what we expect them to do. And the more we try to overcome our own habits and we fall short, we don't meet our own expectations. That is the bad stuff of everyday life. We should expect it so that we're not disappointed. Feelings should be expressed and temper suppressed. I have probably regretted almost every time I have acted out of anger. If I can take a cooling off period and work it down and drop it and express my feelings later, I'm much better off. It is not the people, places, or things that give us our symptoms. Bad stuff happens. No matter who we are, bad stuff happens. It's how we think about these things that makes the difference. Will we take our original response of anger and work it up and hold on to this sense of self-righteousness? Or will we learn to forgive and drop it? It's our choice, and only our mental health is at stake.